Hello, everyone. I want to welcome Coach Bronson and Coach Nat. I thank you both for coming on with me, and she left already.
That yellow light was driving me
There we
crazy.
go.
It's still kind of yellow. Whatever.
I want to thank everybody in the chat for joining us. And
Distracting.
I mean, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. So, like I was
Nice
saying,
little chat going over there.
I know, right? They've been here for 20 minutes waiting. I gotta say, I told Bronson in the backstage that we had met briefly at Keto Palooza, and Nat, I was talking to you back in the vendor room and telling a little bit about my story about losing the 100 pounds and all that stuff. And you had bought the earrings from me.
Oh, I should have worn them. They're so cute.
So thank you again for that. But anyway, typically when I bring somebody on, you tell your story about keto, because that's what brought me to you guys is keto. But I told Bronson, I can't imagine either one of you being any bit overweight. So it has to, and it's just incredible. But
you want to start?
No, you
being overweight.
Being overweight.
Because I think being overweight was more my issue. You went through phases.
That's how I started my whole journey.
The whole journey, right? Yeah, we both have similar, different stories.
Yeah.
Right? Because
different phases.
Yeah, because weight was a piece of it, but I think the actual thing that brought us to where we are today was just trying to live the best quality of life that we could.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. And weight was for many people, a way to get started in the process. But then realizing that there's a lot more going on than just the weight. So, so like my personal, for me, the weight part of it was, almost 250 pounds or about there in my mid 30s.
70 pounds ago.
70 pounds ago. Wow. And just trying to say, hey, I don't like the image that I'm representing right now. I don't like the being out of shape. I don't like the health issues that I was having. I don't like looking at myself and going, who is that guy? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of that stuff going on that got me started. And then all the stuff that happened from there.
Yeah, because for you, I love the story. He tells the story of his daughter taking a picture of him at the beach. And that was like your aha moment, right? And I think that's what the weight is for so many people is. And I like to say, your body fat is a blessing, because if you don't have something that wakes you up, you're just never going to change your situation. And so there are a lot of people in my industry, in the fitness industry, that can get away with a lot because it's not showing up aesthetically, physically on their body. They can't see it. So they're going to continue to do what they're doing for decades.
I'm glad you said that, because that was a big problem for me. I always carried my weight very well, and then as I subconsciously was realizing that I was getting bigger and more out of shape and larger and having to get bigger pants and bigger shirts and things, I was making choices subconsciously. I don't even remember having making a conscious decision to say, I need to buy things so that I look good still. I just look back at pictures and I'm like, I don't look that bad there, but knowing that I was 70 pounds heavier in that picture.
And it's the lifestyle creep. Yeah. We talk about lifestyle creep is a term they use on the financial side of things, right? Where you just kind of let yourself keep spending and spending. But it's the same thing with health and food and diet and lifestyle, getting more and more sedentary, eating more and more, being more slack about the choices that we're making. And if we don't have something that wakes us up, if we don't have that aha moment of seeing the body fat, seeing, not liking the way we feel or look in our bodies, then it can go on for a long time. And there are a lot of bodybuilders out there who look good on the outside, who are a complete mess health-wise on the inside. And it's not going to catch up with them for a very long time because they're not seeing it on their bodies. And they care more about that than maybe they're probably not even paying attention or getting the testing or even looking into their metabolic health, because they just assume. And a lot of the world still assumes that the way we look on the outside determines our health on the inside, and it's absolutely not the same thing.
And that's a trap for a lot of people who are looking at an aesthetic goal as their end point. And thinking,
It's like,
I want to look a certain way, I'm going to weigh a certain thing, which is not a bad, again, it's a great place to get someone started. But at some point you have to realize that reaching a weight goal, you can check that off and say, yeah, I did this, but there's more to it. What's next? What does that mean? How does that change your life? What are you looking for in the impact of getting to that weight goal?
right. It's like seeing somebody,
I mean much.
sorry, it's like seeing somebody really thin and eating all the junk and them thinking, oh, well, I'm healthy because I look good. Like, but you may not be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and even some of it, there are lots of ways to lose weight that are not healthy. Right. And probably a lot of people in the community, in the keto community, have come here because you've tried all of that stuff and it worked for a little while until it didn't, or until it made everything worse. Right. And it's still what so many dietitians are telling even pre-diabetics, to eat 40% of your diet in carbs and manage it with insulin. Right. It's doesn't mean it's healthy. You can lose weight doing that. And I always tell the people that come to me, I can get you to lose weight on any diet, but it is about health, optimal health, well-being. I'm not going to put you on a vegan diet. I'm not going to put you on a high carb, low fat diet. Although my brethren in the bodybuilding space do that all day and they get incredible aesthetic results, but that's not going to get you healthier. It's not sustainable. It's honestly not enjoyable. I would much rather eat a high fat, low carb diet. I enjoy that much more than high carb, low fat. I do not want to trade my fats for oats and bread.
And rice.
No, thank you.
And dry chicken.
And rice and tilapia. No, and it's devoid of nutrition. So for me, I wasn't 100 pounds or 80 pounds or even 50 pounds overweight. For context, I'm barely 5 feet. I'm 4'11", 3/4. Very small human being. For me, it was 30 pounds overweight, and that on my body was noticeable, significantly noticeable. So if it's been a while,
it's almost a third of your.
It was a third of my body weight at the time. I lost, and when I initially lost that 30 pounds, I went from overweight to underweight because it wasn't about the right things.
Right.
And I did clean up my diet and I did go paleo, and then I went into Whole30, and it eventually led me to keto and carnivore. But so I was doing healthy things, I was going the health route. But what happened was, even within the context of a clean, even back then animal-based, although I wouldn't have known anything to call it that, but I was eating meats and vegetables and healthy carbs, whole food, fruits, sweet potatoes, a ton of kale. Oh my God, a ton of kale.
So much kale.
Spinach smoothies before, I knew anything about carnivore. Spinach smoothies with peanut butter in them. But I was not getting enough protein. I was eating a ton of fruits and vegetables, which we would have considered healthy back then, and not getting enough protein, not eating enough. And I was dancing. I was back in the dance studio, dancing 7 days a week, eating Lara bars after my classes before bed, waking up and having smoothies instead. I didn't even know anything about protein shakes back then. So I wasn't even adding any kind of protein to these shakes.
But
I was living on shakes, salads for lunch with no protein in them, and then one protein meal for dinner and Lara bars as snacks. And how many women I know are doing this, skipping meals, not cutting back on protein, because they're thinking, well, okay, if I'm gonna lose weight, then I'll eat less meat. Usually women go to this eating less meat thing and eating more vegetables.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
And you're you're not getting what your body needs to sustain it. And I didn't have muscle back then. I was very small.
Two things I think that are really common that we see, and that is one, when you start doing things that are healthy based on the information you have, that's where we see a lot of people coming to us, because they feel like I'm doing everything that I've been told I need to do. And then they realize, okay, none of this is working. Right?
Or it depends on what you consider working.
Well,
right?
We've both been there, right? We've both been, and this is one of the arguments people say, well, you know, when you get into the whole keto, carnivore, low carb doesn't work, it's not healthy, it's not sustainable, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to listen to the science. All the different arguments that people have about them fighting for the way that they're doing things, even though that's not working. Right. And that is, we've been there. We're not coming to where we are now because someone told us that was the best way to go. We are where we are now because we have, just like many of the people watching this, tried all the other different things and none of it worked. So we had to do something different.
Sherry says, are you saying that is not a good way to eat, or that is not good to eat that way? It was certainly better than what I was doing before. Let me put that. So, and I think both of us, we did not say, hey, I have 50 pounds to lose. I heard so-and-so did this on keto. I'm going to go keto. And it wasn't all about what's keto and what are the yes and no foods lists and is this keto and am I in ketosis? Yeah. We didn't do any of that.
Well, in fact, so so a little history about us. We both were at a conference, Paleo FX, in 2018 before we met each other.
19.
Sorry,
16.
16
and 19 I was there.
So
one of those
years we were both there. I was thinking about this the other day. I specifically remember walking through. It was one of the first ketone supplements, had a booth there.
Oh,
there was like one or two of them, and they were trying to pitch me on ketones, and I basically told them they had no idea what they were talking about. This was pseudoscience, hokey crap. It doesn't exist. Like, what are you doing?
It was before KetoCon. Yeah, it was before any of that.
And I was convinced that ketones were a hoax. Now here I am, 7 years later, and I've got a book, the Ketogenic Fitness book. I'm all about ketosis. I'm actually doing research right now on the ketone metabolism and how it interacts with exercise.
Oh my gosh, we got to talk about what you're doing now.
It's the change if you're willing to just be open to the idea that there's other stuff out there we don't know about, and things are working for people. Just because it's different than what you've been told doesn't mean it's not going to work, because it does.
And I want to preface this by this. I now like to talk about health and nutrition and diet on a spectrum. Mm-hmm. Foods exist on a spectrum of optimal, most healthy, ideal, to least healthy, or poison on the other end.
Yeah. With an underlayer of that, all of that goes over where you are right now.
Yes.
Right.
Context.
So optimal is going to be different today than optimal may be 5 years from now.
Right.
And optimal for you is going to likely be different than optimal for me, based on our individual context. And that's our biggest platform, is talking about context. Our passion and mission in life is to help people stop looking for answers from somebody else and learn how to identify what is right for them. Gleaning the information that you can learn from others or from gurus or experts or your own research, and actually learn how to glean what you need to glean and look at your own context and say, is this right for me or not? Mm-hmm. Because it would not have been right for me to go from where I was to chasing ketones and fasting and throwing everything at a situation where I was eating chips and dip after work while I made my dinner, and then also ate dinner. And it would just be like, it was junk foods, right? I lived on a lot of junk foods back then. And so for my process was, we all know at the end of the day, I don't care who you are, you know, the number one, probably top 3 things dietarily that you are doing that are not helping you. The worst things, and if I have a questionnaire for intake for clients. What are the top 3 things that you know are the worst things you're doing right now for your health or not doing? Right? Most people can identify those things. They just don't want to change those things. So we're looking for that quick fix. We're looking for that magic bullet. Oh, if I can go keto and keep my keto ice cream and my keto cookies and my keto brownies and my keto this and that and my keto thing I'm buying from the grocery store that says keto on it, and I don't have to change my relationship with food. I don't have to change eating dessert 3 times a day. I don't have to change feeding my cravings. What can I do? If I can get into ketosis, will it make me magically lose weight without having to change any of my habits? That's usually what's happening here, is all the marketing out there selling you a dream on this, that, or the other thing, so you don't have to address the elephant in the room. The truth is, if all of us just said, hey, what is the one low-hanging fruit? The one thing I know I'm doing that is wrecking my health. For me, it was binge eating. If I just stopped binge eating the worst crap that I could put in my face, anything else I did with my diet probably would have gotten me to the goal, at least the first goal. Losing some weight, feeling better, reducing inflammation.
There you go. Pastor Jim brought home the world title in 2012 for Static Monsters 50 plus week. I don't know what
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, she shared this video with him. So
okay. Sherry had a question. Are you saying that it is not good to eat that way? You were talking about that a second
Probably
ago.
the sweet
Right.
potato and the fruits and veggies.
Yeah. So what
and the Lara bars, which by
in
the
the
way,
context,
are 100% sugar.
Yeah.
It's natural
In
foods.
the short answer is, if you're not focused on a couple of different things, you're probably going in the wrong direction. So we want to make sure we're getting as much nutrition as possible that our body can use, and it's going to fill us up so that we don't just keep cramming our faces. Okay. If what you're eating is making you hungry for more, then it's not what you're looking for.
It's not nutritionally dense enough that it's
You
probably not
should
giving
be
your
able
body
to
what it
eat
needs.
enough in a meal that you don't have to eat again for a few hours. If you're feeling snacky throughout the day, it's either the things you're eating or you're not eating enough of the right things. Okay. So just keep in mind that it's not about good or bad way to eat. It's about, am I eating in such a way that I'm going to support the goals that I'm trying to reach? That's how to frame the question.
And I like a very simple language reframe when it comes to good and bad. Healthy or unhealthy? If you just want to start substituting that, is this a good food? Is this a bad food? Is this a healthy food? Is this an unhealthy food? And that's where context comes into play, because healthy foods for one person might not be the same as a healthy food for another person.
I literally was just going to go into that. And how you define healthy is not by what somebody else is telling you is healthy. How you define healthy is, if I eat this, do I feel like crap? If I eat this, do I have trouble sleeping? If I eat this, do I get bloated? If I eat this, do I have joint pain? If I eat this, do I break out in a rash? If I eat it, do I get a headache? Do I get cramp? All of these things. If I do this, what is the result? Is it helping me or hurting me? And if you start doing that, then you start building your own database of what is good for you and what is not. And then you can filter out all the noise from all the other people on the internet telling you what to do, because you know for yourself what's actually working.
Yeah, we all do keto for different purposes. Go ahead, go ahead, Cindy. I was about to call you Sherry.
It's all right. You can call me Sherry. It's on the screen. That's like when I started really strict keto. It was like 20 total carbs or less until I lost the 100 pounds. Then you get a little lackadaisical and, start bringing things in. And, where you were saying list 3 things, I could list 2 right off the bat. Diet Pepsi, which I have only given that up for 31 days in 4 years. And Shock Zero. because I have got a terrible sweet tooth. And that, to me, that's better than going out and buying a Hershey bar or, whatever, anything right off the shelf. So, it's just having to keep them at bay and be more controlled with them. That's my top two.
And that's the thing, that when I say the spectrum, that's what we're talking about here, right? Mm-hmm. Is Chalk Zero better than a Hershey's bar? Absolutely. Right? Is it supporting your goals? And that might be different depending on where you are. When you started, that probably would have kept you very addicted.
Oh, I couldn't have done it when I started.
Exactly. And so that's where we have to take our own context into play. And I know I work with a lot of women who have a fear of carbs in any way, shape, or form, any carb from any food. They have come into carnivore because they've been restricted more and more and more and more and more. And I can't possibly have one bite of that because I'll go off the rails. That's when we have to say to ourselves, what's really going on here? Because there's the physiological effect of the food and what it's actually doing in our bodies to heal us or to keep us inflamed or keep us addictive. But there's also the mental and emotional and habitual piece that we have to deal with. And if we don't deal with that, it's like you said, if you can have Chalk Zero and not eat the whole bag, that's incredible. And that's actually probably supporting where you are in your journey, right? For me, it's 100% or 95% or 90% dark chocolate. I don't do well with anything that has added sweeteners in it, like the erythritols and the alluloses and things like that. So for me, I'm not going to do Lily's or Chalk Zero or one of those. But 100% dark chocolate bar that's just the cacao, I love that. It works in my lifestyle. I can work with it. It doesn't cause cravings. I'm not getting headaches. And it keeps me sustainable. It keeps the things that I do sustainable. There have been times in my journey where I cut out coffee, where I cut out chocolate, where I cut out all kinds of things. And now I was just thinking about this the other day because here we are, it's January, it's World Carnivore Month. And a lot of people are going carnivore and doing challenges along those lines. I'm doing a challenge with my group. It's called Grace and Grind. It is not about follow these strict principles or follow these protocols and do what I tell you to do. It's not 75 hard. It's not, here's the 5 things I'm telling you have to do and all of that. It's about setting your own focused habits you want to work on over 21 days. And I thought about my own. Okay, what do I want to do in the realm of nutrition? Tracking macros is not difficult for me anymore. Hitting macros, setting macro goals. So none of that is going to be my focus for my nutrition piece. I want something that's going to be a challenge for me. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I could do lion diet, or maybe I could go strict carnivore and cut out coffee or cut out chocolate or cut out my protein powders. And I took a step back and said, wait, do I need that right now? Why would I be doing that? Just because it's a challenge? Just to be stricter? For what purpose? What I'm doing, my little protein treats I make with protein powder or, my chocolates or my coffees, they enhance my day-to-day lifestyle, my mindset, my enjoyment.
Without subtracting from your health.
Without causing me to struggle with food or cravings or ability to stick to my diet.
And that's a really good balance to understand. And this is for everybody. Just because there is a tool that you can use to improve health doesn't mean you have to use every tool.
Right.
Or all at the same time.
Or all at the same time. You don't build a house by putting every tool in your hand and trying to build the house all at once. You use one tool until you need a different tool. And sometimes you go back to a tool that you were using before that you stopped using. So it's a process of figuring out what tools do I need right now? What's the job I'm trying to accomplish right now? And then focus on that. When that's good, you have completed part of the house. Now you can go to a different part of the house and start working on that, right? So it's an ongoing process, and it's not a matter of that we see all the time. This person says this person says that, this person says this person says that. I'm going to try to do all of it. And then you're overwhelmed. You've got too many things to do. The changes you're trying to make are all over the place. There's no consistency. you're only doing it because somebody with a PhD or an MD said to do it, and you don't actually have a reason for doing it in the first place.
Or because it's some popular trend online right now.
Right, or trends. Stop following, everybody's doing this, everybody's doing the sardine fast, everybody's doing this. Everybody's jumping off the bridge doesn't mean you got to jump off the bridge too.
No, sardines are not in the books for me. Nope. I don't care who does them. That's the thing, you know, because there are so many YouTubers out there, so many influencers out there, and whether it's a doctor or whoever, it's like you guys were saying, you got to find out what is good for you and what's going to keep it sustainable for you. Yep. Is the only way you're going to get successful.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, it's crazy. The people that are out there that are so dogmatic that, oh, you're not doing this right. It's like, there's no room in my life for that, because, you know, that's crazy.
No, because, you know, and this is the other piece too. We always talk about this, especially for women. Stress is a major factor when we are talking about inflammation, health, hormones, and fat loss. Ladies, your body is not going to let go of the fat if you are constantly stressed out. So when we make ourselves neurotic about all these decisions, when it comes to our diet, and so said, I'm not doing this right, and then we take that on ourselves, and now we're stressed out about all of these things, that right there can stop your progress in its tracks.
Oh, yeah.
Never worth your peace of mind.
Somebody telling you that you're not doing something right. It's like, do you know me? Do
Whose body
you know
are they
how I react to different things? It's like, what?
Yeah. Sometimes we need tough love, but it's related to, are we doing something? Are we holding on to something that is not serving us? Mm-hmm. That's the question to ask yourself.
Get rid of any expectation you have for doing things a certain way. There's no guidelines. There's no rule book. There's no carnivore or keto police that are come knocking on your door because you're doing it wrong.
Okay? I love that quote from Juliana.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. And that's the absolute way to look at it. In one of my books, I forget which one, either Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness or Body Confident, I talk about net positive and net negative. Do you remember which one?
Probably Body Confident.
Yeah. The idea, it's like you mentioned finance earlier. Just look at the choices you have and the options that you have to pick from, like a financial decision. Is this going to add to my bank account or take away from my bank account? Many people have a debt. They're in debt. They're in the red in their health, and they're spending their health dollars like they're in the black. Right? What do I need to do now? In order to get out of debt, the choices you have to make are much more focused, much more intentful, and usually much more strict. You have to manage your money more tightly, just like you have to manage your health choices more tightly when you're already sick.
Yep.
When you get to a point where you are metabolically healthy, when you have more physical freedom, and then you have a little bit more money in the bank, that's when things become more free and you have some choices that you could say, I want to do this because I want to do this.
That's what we were talking about
options.
Recently.
I can do different things. I'm not restricted because my health isn't a factor anymore.
It took you how many years to realize,
hey,
I'm doing all right.
It took me like 8 years to realize I didn't have to stress over my health anymore because I've been so used to doing it that, but when I sat here, I was like, wait a second, I'm not having any of these issues. I'm not at a weight that I need to worry about. I don't have my bowel issues and stress issues and acne's gone and all these different things. I'm not having the aches and pains and the chronic injuries, and I'm able to do whatever I want to do, and I don't have any limitations. I can chill out a little bit. Now, that doesn't mean I go off the rails and go backwards.
And it doesn't mean you now change what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Right. I still have to maintain what got me here.
Yep.
But I don't have to then I'm allowed to open up a little bit and kind of say, let me try some other things and see how they impact me without worrying about a super negative impact. Because I'm not coming out of the hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's very much like, and that could be on the health side. That can also be on the mental side, right? I'm a eating disorder survivor. I will call myself. because I don't like the term recovered, because it implies that I never have to think about it again. I never have to worry about it again, right? Those were thoughts that I had for a very long part of my life. And while they no longer are present to me on a day-to-day basis, they can still creep up. And those thoughts, eating disorders are not about the food, guys. They are not, it is not about the food. It was never about the food. It was always the way you were thinking about the food, or the way you were thinking about your body, or you were thinking about stress in your life or emotions or any of that.
Right.
But so on the mental side too, there was a time just not that long ago where if I ate something that triggered the, what do I call that? The party lights, the all of the neural pathways that light up, right? The dopamine center that lights up when you eat something sweet, right? It would have sent me totally into a tailspin.
Right.
And so any kind of sweet taste I had to keep out for a while. Now I can incorporate things.
You stopped kissing me for like a month.
Now, like him with his health, he doesn't have to worry about bowel issues if he wants to have ice cream one night. For me, it's,
or cheese. I couldn't eat cheese.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't eat cheese or heavy cream. Like half a cup of heavy cream would send me to the bathroom for 2 days. You know what I mean? Like, and now that stuff is gone. I can have heavy cream in my coffee every day if I want to, and it doesn't bother me. So that is a huge quality of life improvement.
So Sherry is saying her struggle is meat. Now, Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you said in one of our live streams that you're okay with chicken. But she really struggles, and it's a lot of vegetables. And it's a tough thing.
Yeah, it is a tough thing. I not knowing much about Sherry specifically, what the motivation is, what the belief around. Sometimes it's not the flavor or the texture or anything about the meat. It's just the getting over the reason you weren't eating it in the first place. If it's a mental, moral, perceptive, or whatever it may be, there's just an aversion to the idea of eating meat that translates into the physical ability to eat meat.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
right.
And there's the physiological side of if you have not eaten it for a long period of time, your body has stopped producing the enzymes, the pancreatic enzymes to help you break it down. So it can also, if you're getting like gag reflex from eating meat, if you're getting like difficulty digesting it, you might want to look into a supplement, pancreatic enzyme supplements. Pancreatin is something you can look up, but particularly it would be the protease to help break down the protein and the lipase to break down the fats in the animal products.
Yeah, if you're feeling bad when you eat it, because you're not digesting it.
Right, which longtime vegetarians and vegans can have that physiological response because their body's not used to consuming it. So if you start introducing it in small amounts, and particularly the red meat, one of the best things you can do. I was a veggie girly for a long time. Okay. So, and I wasn't vegetarian, but I ate a lot of veggies. So my best advice would be make some stir fries, make some, like hash kind of a dish, right? Where you have all your veggies. Mix it in with your veggies. And then take your ground beef, or my personal favorite is ground lamb. Some people like it. Some people absolutely hate it. It's a love-hate relationship. But take whatever meat for you, red meat, is the most mild to your palate, your taste buds, right? And you can start with your turkeys and your chickens. Although what I will say is poultry is very much lower on the nutrient density profile than red meats. So it's going to be important to start building in some of that red meat. So what I would do is, if you do, let's say, a cauliflower rice, or if you're still eating grains and you do rice bowls with veggies and things of that nature, you can, to lower the carbs, you can move that to cauliflower rice instead of rice, right? And then incorporate, make it like a dirty rice with some ground beef. But start small with smaller amounts of ground beef and more amounts of your veggies. And over time, you can build up more ground beef into that and a little bit less of the veggies and work that out. But that way you have all the flavors. It's kind of masking the meat.
Yeah, what you're talking about is easing into the transition. The transition doesn't have to be white and black, or black and white, or on or off.
You don't have to go to steaks immediately.
You don't have to go and then just incorporating more meat doesn't mean you have to eat just the meat by itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is what I'm talking about with expectations. We think we hear someone say, I'm going to increase my protein, or I'm going to eat more red meat, and we see everybody on the internet eating a steak. What if you just threw some eggs in your rice bowl and had some, what's the dish? Fried rice.
Oh, fried rice. I
Some
used to
egg
make
fried
a lot.
rice.
I used to make fried rice.
Right? If you're maybe the change you're making initially isn't even about cutting back on the rice. Maybe the first change you make is just about adding the eggs.
Yep.
And then
Protein.
you get used to that. Then you can cut back on how much rice you make. Then you can maybe switch the eggs for some ground beef or some what's the sliced meat? It's like not stir fried, like you were saying.
Pulled.
Yeah, put some pulled pork or pulled meat or pulled beef or something in with the rice. Or there's a lot of different ways to do it, but it's about what are the small things that I can do that are different than what I'm doing now to reach the goal. If my goal is I just need to eat more protein or I need to eat more meat, how can I do that in a way that's going to make sense? I don't have to do it overnight. It doesn't have to be drastic.
And you can mix and match. So if you're okay with chicken, you can add a little bit, maybe a chicken and some steak strips cut up into a stir fry together, or even with some shrimp, right? You can mix and match your seafoods. I like a variety. Even now, I'm mostly carnivore. I will call it ketovore. I'm carnivore plus a few other things. So I mostly just eat meats. But I love variety. This man can eat ground beef and eggs every day and happy as a clam. That's mostly what he eats. For me, I like a mix of things. So I will mix and match in one meal. I'll do some seafood and some chicken, or some seafood and some steak, or ground beef or lamb with turkey. So I like to do a lot of things that are combined with other foods. A little trick I taught my group, I like to do when I'm doing whitefish, I almost never have a craving for whitefish. Like, it's never the thing I get excited about eating, but it's always delicious when I make it. And I don't do tilapia. It's like the bottom feeder of the ocean. So if you're going for health, you want to go for the denser. So what do I like? I like mahi, cod, flounder, salmon. I do a ton of salmon. I would do halibut if it wasn't so expensive. So if you can afford halibut, even better. But the fattier fish are going to give you more of the nutrient profile. So I love salmon. I love mackerel. I'm not a big sardines girl, but I will eat some sardines from time to time. If you can't handle sardines, mixing them into your tuna salad with your mayo, mustard, that kind of stuff, you don't even taste it inside the tuna salad. But personally, my mackerel is my favorite, and it has pretty much the same nutrient profile as sardines, and it is super mild. It has a more mild flavor than tuna. I'm not even a huge tuna fan. I will do salmon or mackerel most of the time. But one of the things I taught my ladies was, if you're doing like the flounder or cod, like a flaky whitefish, you cook it in a dry pan, it's going to basically flake apart. You can make that like rice. Juliana now is like incorporating it into her meals. She calls it Coach Nat's fish rice, I think.
Nice. Real quick, this is my sister. This is my sister, Deb. She's the one that got me started on keto. She researched this. It'll be 5 years in June.
Nice.
I didn't start till September of 2020. So
shout out
a few
to
months
Deb
after that.
You into it.
But yeah, I just wanted I have her to thank for a lot.
Yeah,
Static Monster is a strong man, like very heavy deadlifts. There you go.
Oh, there was another mention about the red meat. Somebody who had gastric bypass. It says,
I've had that.
I've never been a big beef eater, but since I've had gastric bypass 15 years ago, I have a hard time eating much beef. It is hard to digest, and I don't feel good when I eat it. So 2 things I want to suggest for you, or 3. One is the digestive enzymes I mentioned. 2 is stomach acid. Especially, if you've had gastric bypass, any kind of surgery, but particularly, and this was a big issue for me because I had GERD. I had gastroesophageal reflux disease, heartburn, acid reflux, basically most of my life from a teenager. And I was on PPIs. I was on acid blockers, right? So Prilosec, omeprazole. If you're in that camp, fam, if you're the people who were popping Tums, the problem they always told me was that I had too much stomach acid. And so there was all this extra acid. And so they gave me these acid blockers. And what happened was I stopped producing enough stomach acid to break down my foods. And now to this day, however, 10, 15 years later, I am still taking betaine HCl, which is it's hydrochloric acid capsules to be able to break down my meats. So for those of you coming from vegan, vegetarian, or anybody who's come off of acid blockers, or even if you're still taking them, I usually recommend starting with apple cider vinegar with your meals, because betaine HCl is something you might want to work up to or work with a practitioner to determine if you need it and how much of it you need, because there's a whole dosage protocol to figure out your dosage. But there's a video we did a while back, and it's the baking soda test.
Mm-hmm.
And you put a little bit of baking soda in some water first thing in the morning before you've eaten or drink anything. He's going to find the link for you guys and share it. We did it. And you drink it and you wait to see how long it takes you to burp after you drink the solution. If you don't burp in 2 minutes, you likely have low stomach acid. It's basically an at-home test you can do. I did the one with my naturopath in the office where they actually give you a solution to drink and then they measure the levels of acid. So I got officially diagnosed with what they call hypochlorhydria, which is low stomach acid. But this is a at-home test you can do kind of to self-diagnose. And sure enough, as we suspected, Bronson burped within 30 seconds. For me, 5 minutes later, I hadn't burped. So it's something you can do to kind of test and see, okay, do I think I have low stomach acid? Test it out. If you discover that you do, or you think you do based on this test, start with just taking a tablespoon or even putting a tablespoon in a little shot glass and adding some water with some salt of apple cider vinegar with your meals. And that would be a step in the right direction. If you find that you start doing that with the apple cider vinegar and you are digesting better, it is likely a stomach acid issue. And you could try the ACV for a while. If that works just fine, great. If that doesn't work alone, then that might be a time to talk with someone about getting some supplementation. But I, to this day, still take digestive enzymes and betaine HCl with my meals, and it helps immensely with digesting proteins and meats.
Right. Sherry wants to know, Nat, do you have a good recipe to use for convenience instead of a store-bought meal bar like Atkins?
Ooh, okay, great question. Can you move that a little so I can see your face? Great question, because there's a couple of bars on the market that are very enjoyable, but also can be very hard to moderate. So those in the keto carnivore space,
wonder what those could be.
May have heard of the Keto Brick by our friend Rob Sykes, or the carnivore bar. The carnivore bar, they're way too good and way too expensive for me to be buying them. Both of them
are there too.
Both of them are quite expensive and they taste very good, and it's very difficult to eat just one. And I would probably say the same for most protein bars on the market or keto bars on the market. Although some of them are questionable how tasty they are. Some of them are like, ugh. And what I will say, what I really don't like about most bars on the market, I would say Keto Brick and Carnivore Bar are not in this category, but most of the ones you're going to find in the grocery store are laden with fibers that are not going to be friendly to your gut, can cause a lot of gastric issues. So most of the reason why I stay away from any store-bought bars is for that reason, all the things that they're adding to them. Most of the time, even if it has the word keto on it or Atkins, if you read the ingredients and you read the macros, the total carb amount, including all the sugar, alcohols, and other things that they're putting in there, it's higher than the protein and maybe even the fat in those bars. So all that to say, you can pretty easily make your own bars. I personally like to make, there's just one protein treat that I make almost every day now. And there's two versions of it or more. Essentially, it is yogurt if you can handle dairy. And I just recently got him on Greek yogurt with his meat, and he's loving it. We do these, I make lamb and he makes ground beef bowls, and we add Greek yogurt to it. I'm a Greek girl, so the Greeks, the Armenians, the Middle Eastern people out there know about yogurt with meat, and it is amazing, but I digress. For the little protein treats, I will take either, if you can handle dairy, a full-fat Greek yogurt, or in my case, I do a full-fat coconut yogurt. The very clean ones. My favorite brand is Kulina. It has the least added ingredients. There's like 3 or 4 really good brands out there. Coco June is another one. Coconut yogurts. They're a lot higher in fat and they're lower in protein than animal, than a regular Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt's going to have a lot more protein, and it's going to have some nice fat if you stick with the full fat. So if you just mix the yogurt with a protein powder of your choice, I prefer we use Equip Prime Protein, which is a beef isolate. But if you can handle a whey isolate, I would encourage a whey isolate. Is probably going to be one of the better, not probably, it's going to be the best for muscle protein synthesis out there if you find a clean one that doesn't have a bunch of junk ingredients in it. So just read the ingredients, look for ones that don't have a bunch of added sugars or added ingredients, whey protein isolate, egg white protein powders. And different people react differently to different types. So some people have sensitivities to egg whites. Some people have sensitivities to any kind of dairy, even whey. The whey concentrate ones, or the milk protein concentrates, they have a lot more of the caseins and the lactose. Whereas whey isolate, if you're sensitive to some dairy, so a lot of people can still handle the whey isolate. So pick your protein powder, even if you're doing a vegan or a plant-based protein powder. I did that for many years until I really realized that they were not helping with my gut health. And then I switched over to the carnivore one, the beef isolate. But pick your protein powder of choice, flavor of your choice, and mix it with the Greek yogurt. If you just do those two together, and you can test out, how much protein for you, how much protein powder, how thick you like it. You can make it just like a yogurt. And if you're still, if you can handle berries, if you can handle nuts or seeds, you can put that in there. I used to do a lot of that. Nowadays, I'll just mix the protein in with the yogurt and pop it into the freezer and let it set. And it's like a little cheesecake. Or I will take, if you've ever heard of egg life wraps, you can find them at a lot of health food stores. It's just egg whites. They do use a little bit of xanthan gum, which some people can be sensitive to. I used to be, but now I can handle it a lot better. They have a sweet cinnamon version, and they have a plain that doesn't have any of the savory flavors in them. They also have some really yummy savory ones that I'll use for wraps and burgers and things like that. But the sweet cinnamon or the plain, you can put your yogurt protein mix on top and then freeze it. And it is like a bark. And that is my favorite thing to make every day. And then sometimes I'll cut up that super dark chocolate and make little chocolate chip and put that on top. I actually had that for my little snack earlier today. And I do that all the time. That is like my favorite thing. The only thing with those is that they will kind of, when they get to room temperature, they'll get gooey. So they're best eaten close to frozen or fully frozen. If you need something more on the go, you can mix protein powder with something like a nut butter or another fat source, even beef tallow for my super strict carnivores out there. You can do beef isolate with beef tallow. That's essentially what Rob Sykes is doing with his more recent keto bricks that he's making now. And here's the little tip. Y'all can go on the Keto Brick website, check out all the flavors and the different kinds of keto bricks he has. Look at the ingredients. Very simple ingredients. You can make that yourself. And what I like, because both Keto Brick and Carnivore Bar are very high in fat, my regular fat intake is not as high as what they have in there. I like higher protein, more one-to-one with my fat, or a little bit lower fat than protein. So I like to make my own because then I can control how much protein to how much fat is in it. But yeah, you can mix together pretty much any high fat source like a nut butter or a tallow or coconut oil or anything like that. And then you can mix your protein powder with it. And if you want to make it chocolate, you can add a little cocoa powder. You can add your own sweetener. I like liquid stevia or monk fruit extract because it doesn't have any of the erythritols or any of the sugar alcohols that could bother your gut. So if I am using a sweetener, I always use the pure extract liquids. And then you can sweeten it to your own taste buds.
Great. Now you didn't
I have
mention
protein recipes for days.
that's okay. You did not mention keto chow. You
I did
mentioned
not.
Cliff.
I did not. We love the founders of Keto Chow, but we don't love the product. They do have a beef isolate.
Well, hold on so it's not that we don't love the product. I think the product, like we said earlier, there's no good or bad in the options and choices that you're making. So what we find the challenges with Keto Chow is that because of the work that has yet to be done on the emotional and mental side of food, a lot of people are making a better choice by choosing Keto Chow over other options, but they're not evaluating or developing the self-awareness as to why they can't stop using Keto Chow. There is a point in time where any shake, whether it's Keto Chow, whether it's or products, Keto Brick, Carnivore, we've had people that have issues letting anything go. We've had clients that are addicted to carnivore bars, right? Because that's replaced whatever the unhealthier version is, but they haven't fixed the addiction aspect. That's why you said earlier, it's not about the food. It's not about the food choice. But the food choice can either make the process of development and awareness harder or easier. So Keto Chow is a fantastic product, and it fits a role for many, 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 many people who are getting started and transitioning. The challenge that we see, particularly with Keto Chow, is that people tend to stay there and not progress.
Continuing to choose it over real food.
Because it's technically a meal replacement,
right?
Which that's where the catch is. That's where the challenge is. We don't want you to replace food with non-food. Keto Chow is not food.
It's a supplement.
It is a supplement.
It has a lot more nutrition.
It is a entry point. It's a gateway for those people getting started to have a better option, to make it easier to transition to the metabolic state of being ketogenic. But it is not a replacement for real food in a long-term, sustainable quality of life perspective.
They say that too. They say do not just solely live on Keto Chow. Chris and Miriam say that all the time.
Correct.
Yep.
Food. I love the Keto Chow. It's like, it's definitely in my...
Yeah, and it's in a lot of people's. And we also see a lot of people who it's in their routine, it's in their lifestyle consistently. And those people are trying to figure out how come they can't move forward. And the minute they stop using Keto Chow is the minute they start seeing progress. And it's not because Keto Chow is bad for them. It's just Keto Chow wasn't helping them move forward.
Right.
Because their focus needed to be somewhere else. They had gotten past the metabolic state where Keto Chow was helping get them from really bad to better. But in order to go from better to great, they need something different.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of, one thing I will say about Keto Chow is that it is, like you said, it's meant to be a meal replacement. So they have added a lot of micronutrition into that product that you're not going to find in most protein powders on the market that are protein powders, because they are only providing the protein without all of the vitamins and minerals that Keto Chow provides. And so that's what makes it, and the fact that they are using a whole milk-based concentrated protein, it is going to have all your amino acids. It's going to be good for muscle protein synthesis. The things that I see with Keto Chow is, and this is one thing I recommend for all people, whether it's Keto Chow or any other protein powder, with or without the micronutrients, I'm a huge fan of replacing sweets, replacing desserts, replacing snacks with things like that, but not replacing meals with things like that. You know, not doing OMAD plus a Keto Chow, but rather do TMAD. And if you need to replace an ice cream addiction or replace a every night dessert with Keto Chow, I'm all for it, because now it's adding to your nutrition for the day. But what it's not doing is replacing what would have been another whole food meal.
Right. Well, there are quite a few people that I've seen that will use that without putting the fat in with the shake. And they'll drink that along with their meal, like you were saying, for their dessert type part of that meal. Instead of going out.
That's a great way to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Because then you're getting your fat from the meal and you'll still be able to digest those fat soluble vitamins.
Yeah.
So Andy, my lady laughed a lot. The stress has me in a stall for years. Got to relax.
Chill out.
Stress.
Yes,
Conversation is perfect timing for me. I had about 5 to 6 weeks of sugar binging over the holidays. Felt like I should jump into carnivore, but I just started slow and down 6 in 2 days. Good, Sherry.
Yes, we are big fans of not going from one extreme to another. It's usually going to burn you out.
Yep.
I think my dairy tolerance is a bit better too. Good. And she had gone to carnivore, I think she said up here. She started keto, went into carnivore, and then followed up with that. My hip's not hurting is a very happy side effect of doing triple B&E the past 10 days.
There you go.
Sherry, I'm okay with chicken. I've recently added some pork. My reason, I do not like beef. I will never like it. I don't care how you cook it.
Everybody's got their thing. That's fine. There's other options out there. Beef isn't the only way to do it.
Yeah. She says she sleeps better because I'm not in pain when lying on my side. Yep.
Yep.
And we got that one. I also eat lots of eggs. Yeah, eggs are a superfood.
Yep.
Nature's multivitamin.
I'm pretty much doing now, except very little beef.
Okay.
Salmon, cod, shrimp. Oh, and me for no fish. And for me, no fish of any kind. She's allergic to it. So yeah, don't do that. Try mackerel. Julianne, this is so good. I make Costco copycat stuffed salmon with Coach Nat's fishy rice. What helped me is to limit the amount of water I drank with meals.
Oh, yes. I didn't mention that, but
yep.
The stomach, the digestive enzymes, the water can dilute the stomach acid and the enzymes.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I also had gastric bypass back in 2007. And what they had told us then is do not drink with your meals because you've got to get enough food in. And you're going to fill up with liquid, forget it.
Yep. And that's another group.
I will always have a drink sitting there and I don't touch it till after I've finished eating.
Yep.
It's
gastric bypass is there's so many people that have had it done that are trying to make changes. I'm going to recommend, if you guys don't follow Michelle Hall, get in touch with her. And Cindy, you may want to talk to her and have her come on.
Oh, yeah.
She's a bypass survivor. She actually had a lap band that slipped and almost killed her. It almost perforated her stomach. She was within hours of having it just ripped through her stomach and her whole body becoming infected.
Right. Yeah, I'm on her group on Facebook. So
okay, so talk to her about that. She has some stories, and she does a lot of work. I believe she's been working on some programs and some content specifically focused for helping people that have had bypasses or some kind of physical modification to their stomach or intestinal tract.
It's horrible.
In order to lose weight. So check her out, Michelle Hall. Is it My Primal Life or Primal Health Coach, something like that on Instagram?
Something like that.
And Cindy, you have her information, so you could share her info.
Yeah, I'll reach out to her.
Follow her.
Sounds good. Thankfully, I mean, I've had issues because of it. Yep. But I can definitely get the protein in that I need. I can eat the meat. It does not bother me. It's been 17 years ago, and it's like I can get a good meal in. It might take me a little bit because I do get full fast and then I'm hungry again.
Yeah.
So, but if I slow down to eating, it helps.
Yeah.
I had another tip for my ladies who have been through that and struggle to get enough in. The texture, the way that you're cooking the meats, right?
And the choice.
I love crock pot everything. It makes things so easy. But when you can break down the meats more. So instead of trying to get down a steak, doing a ground beef, a chili, something like that, where it's already broken down more, or crock pot, cooking something slow cooked or instant pot, breaking it down, shredded, pulled meats. It is easier to get more volume when your meat's like that than like grilled and something you have to chew and break down. Yeah. So I think about it like that.
The other thing to think about too with that is the nutrients are also in the liquid. So it's much easier for you to pull those nutrients out as opposed to having to digest all the meat only in order to get the nutrients out of it. So the broth that comes with it when you do it that way is also much more beneficial.
So healthy.
Yeah, for those that have issues, I mean, I'm okay with a good steak on a grill or in the air fryer. Steak in the air fryer is really good.
Yeah, it is. It's one of my favorites.
What was that test, Nat? I missed it. Kids and people were peopling.
Yeah, just go online and Google baking soda burp test, and it will come up. I looked through the video on our YouTube, and it doesn't seem like it's there.
I had to find it. I can't remember where I found it.
I don't know why it's not there. So we had a video. I don't know where it is. I have to find it. Otherwise, you can just Google baking soda burp test, and it will be there.
That's interesting.
Stomach acid.
I used to know a guy that would drink that before he went out drinking.
Well, there's a whole other aspect of baking soda is actually being pushed more recently. It's been a thing for years, but it's being pushed more recently as an aid for working out and some other stuff. But we're not going to go there right now.
Those egg life treats are so good. Tried the egg life wraps once and did not like them. I guess I will try them again. I'll tell you what, I've been taking egg life wraps and putting cheese in a skillet, putting the wrap on top of it, and then filling it, folding it over like a taco.
Yeah. Nice.
Coke from Mission Keto does that. They are so good.
The garlic and herb ones are my favorite. And this is a good point that along your journey, as you change, one of my favorite mantras is change your taste buds, change your life. If you're not eating something just because you don't like it, try it again later on.
Or try it different than how you had it.
Right. So like, ladies understand, I don't like fish because it smells fishy and it tastes fishy. I don't like beef, right? I will never like beef. If you believe that you will never like beef, you will never like beef. You've already decided that. Your body's not going to change its mind. What we believe is what comes true for us in life. So try it different ways. Keep your mind open. Think about something like Cindy said. She puts cheese on it, right? Makes it amazing. What do you enjoy? And then try making it that way. And here's a little thing. When I eventually do put out my cookbooks, because I will put multiple cookbooks out eventually. She
said it here. You'll have to bug her about it. Every time you see Coach Nat, you have to ask her when her next book is coming out.
First book, because I don't have one out yet.
First.
But the first one's coming out this year, period. That's happening. It's on my list for 2025. But this is something I will absolutely put in there as a preface. How do I want to say this?
Just say it.
You need to be prepared when you're on a health journey and you're changing the way that you're eating. What you don't want to do is try to find a replacement for what you love that will be the exact same flavor, texture, experience, because that is going to keep you exactly where you were. If you're going low carb, keto, carnivore, and you're trying to make something taste, texture, everything exactly like bread, good luck to you. You're going to spend the rest of your life trying to recreate something perfectly. But I see that all the time. And I see it with my friends who have cookbooks and the people who respond to their recipes. This is to this, or it's not this enough, or this doesn't taste like this, or you're holding on to something. Why did you buy a carnivore cookbook if you want to complain that something is not exactly like bread? You let go of the notion of you having the exact things that you had that made you unhealthy.
Can I use another analogy?
Yes.
Don't try to replace your old boyfriend with someone who's exactly like your old boyfriend.
Ooh. Ooh. That's powerful. Yes.
Right? Because
That's
that's
perfect.
what people are doing. They're getting out of a relationship that was toxic and then trying to find someone who's exactly the same but not toxic.
Mhm.
It doesn't work that way, guys.
Gosh, that's
You've got to
so
have something
That's great.
different in order to have a better relationship.
So
Yep.
when I approach my foods, when I'm making these snacks, treats, whatever, with protein powder, or even if it's anything else, I'm not trying to make it exactly like the standard American diet version of it. I'm expecting egg white bread to be egg white bread.
Right.
Not my grandmother's Greek Easter bread. Right? It's not going to be the same. And that's okay.
Mhm.
So go into it with that mindset. I'm not expecting everything to be exactly as I remember it or as I want it.
No.
Well, here you go. Sherry said this live has just given me some encouragement that I'm doing it right for me. No meds, down 47 pounds in a year.
Woo!
I'm going to lose another 20.
Awesome.
Sherry, you're doing great.
Heck yeah.
Suggestions. Coach Michelle Hall, your primal health.
There we go.
Just in from shoveling snow. She lives in Canada.
Yep.
Woo!
Yes, follow Hope from Mission Keto's egg life wrap hack. It's my favorite sandwich. It is so good. Just get the cheese melting and then put the egg life wrap on top and then whatever fillings you want in your taco, so to speak. It's really
You can make
good.
tortillas too. Cut them up and put them in the air fryer. You can make tortilla chips.
It's so true about changing taste buds. I never thought I'd like sardines or eggs without a ton of ketchup, but I do now. Not me.
I like ketchup on my eggs.
I do too. I always have. Nope, that guy is the one who got me fat to begin with. My ex-head was a gourmet chef. Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a great point about not trying to duplicate sad items. You're replacing them and maintaining your health as a result.
Yeah.
I got it. I was going to say something now. I totally forgot. So going through all that. But yeah, it's crazy. Taste buds. I never could stand guacamole or avocado. And I told my husband, I said, one day I'm just going to go buy one and we're going to try it. We're going to eat. And it was delicious. And I'm like, now sardines, I will not do. I could not look at them and eat them because no, even the headless, skinless, boneless, I don't care. No, not happening. Not. That's not. It's
way
like
back before I even went paleo, I never liked anything coconut. And now I'm completely obsessed with all things coconut.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Now I have a question. Away from the health end of things, how did you guys meet?
She accosted me at a conference a couple years ago. She stalked me and hounded me. And she wouldn't let me leave.
It may have been the other way around.
No, because you all are great together. It's just, it's really good. Watching your all's lives is fantastic.
Awesome, thank you.
Well, we have this lifestyle to be grateful for helping us find each other because.
Yeah.
So here's the real story. The story is neither of us were going to be at this conference. This was right after 2020. It was the first keto conference that came back online. It was actually the only year they ever did it. It was Keto Las Vegas in 2021. And I didn't even have my brand yet. And you had
just decided, I'm going to do something business-wise. I need to do something. Let's go to this conference.
And you had not decided to lean into keto. You were more on the fitness side, but you had not decided, I'm going to focus on the keto community yet. Right? So we were both taking a big risk and kind of stepping out and deciding to go to this conference. We both decided to go at the last minute. We did not know each other. I didn't know. I had never been to a keto conference at that point in time. I've been to some.
And it showed.
I had been to some paleo conferences and things like that. but never, and fitness conferences, but never keto. And so a friend of mine had a keto food company, and she was not going to be able to make it. And so she basically gave me her booth for half price, and I couldn't pass that up. I was like, I'm never going to get an opportunity to be able to exhibit at an event like this for this low of a cost when I didn't even have, revenue to put into that kind of marketing yet. So I literally created my brand, developed and printed everything in 2 weeks, had it shipped out to Vegas, went out there all by myself, didn't know anyone. And I set up a booth, and that's how he found me, because I had a stage.
And then I bum rushed her.
I had my stage video from my 2020 show up on the screen, and everything was keto bikini body. And it was me in tall red heels with a bikini on stage. And, and this man was like,
I saw it from across the room. I was like, I think she needs help. She's not in the right place. And I had heard about it, thought about going, but hadn't really made a decision to go. And then a friend of mine contacted me and said, hey, my husband was going to go with me, but he can't go now. So I have a free ticket. Do you want it? I was like, okay, I can't not go. There's people there that I want to see. It was the only conference that I'd done in a while that I wasn't speaking. So I was just interested in going to a conference to just be an attendee. I hadn't done that in ever. And so went there. Obviously, I know all the people that are there. It was cool to kind of network and hang out. But then she was there, and I was kind of like, I just kind of picked up that it was her first thing. I was like, do you need help? Is there anything that I can do to introduce you to people, or kind of make some connections, maybe hang out, go to dinner, whatever, stuff like that. So, and that was kind of all she wrote.
The rest was history. Some things don't stay in Vegas.
She moved from Georgia to Maryland in 3 months.
3 months later,
and moved in with me.
But also, like, pretty much everyone I know in keto was because of you, aside from Keto Gains. So, I mean, I was so impressed because he immediately wanted to connect me with people. And it was, I met Miriam and Chris there, and Joe and Rachel, and like so many of the people now, Maria Emmerich, like it was amazing. And I walked away from that event feeling completely different, feeling like I was connected, feeling like I really knew the community, and it was a whole different energy, and the rest was absolutely history.
Yeah.
And now she's got one of the fastest growing and most impactful programs for women in the space.
And that was my vision. There was not anyone talking about keto and fitness for women. And particularly bodybuilding, because I'm all about the bodybuilding. Muscle building.
That's great.
Everybody's a bodybuilder, not just getting on stage.
Yes, I just said that to my ladies the other day. You are all bodybuilders. You don't have to be a competitive bodybuilder. If you are lifting weights, if you are training to build your body, you are a bodybuilder, and you get to call yourself a bodybuilder.
Yep.
Now, speaking of that, for those that don't know, how was your competition in Mexico?
It was amazing. Except that I walked away with no toenail on my left toe.
She lost her toenail. She had an accident and lost her toenail.
2 days before the show, and then somehow, thank God, still got into the heels and was able to walk on stage 2 days later. But no, the show was amazing. It was my third pro show. First one with this brand new federation called FMG, Fitness Muscle Glamour, all the things I love in one place. And it was the first time they were in Mexico. It was their first year of world tour shows all over the world. So this was the first Mexico show. It was absolutely incredible. I had my keto bikini retreat there along with the show. So
her
I
ladies
had
were there.
4 of my ladies with me, including my assistant coach. And it was my ladies from all over the world. We had 2 Canadians and a New Zealander with us. And then my assistant coach was in the States. So it was our second.
And me.
And Bronson.
I'm not one of her ladies, though.
He was trying not to get in the way. We did an incredible photo shoot, which I'm really excited that this month, 2 of my favorite top pro photographers have just launched their own magazine, and we are in the first issue. We were the first group to do a photo shoot with them in their first issue. It's coming out this month. So I think it'll be out by the end of the month, and I'll be sharing that. But my ladies got in front of the camera, a lot of them for the first time ever, and did absolutely amazing. And we had a blast. We went to the Tulum Jungle Gym, which is this gym right on the beach with all these like Flintstone weights. Yeah, it was a blast. I still haven't posted the photos from that. I got to do that. But I placed second in wellness pro division. Just got my feedback a couple of days ago from the judges, so I know what to work on this year. This is the year I plan to go for a title, go for a championship title. So we're making our plans right now for which shows I'll be doing this year, possibly going back to Mexico at the end of the year. But there are 3 US shows this year, so there will be a lot more opportunities to get on stage, and I'm planning to do a lot. Very first step this year will be the Arnold Expo in March. That's our first trip this year. You're coming with me. And some of the girls will be there as well. I'll be walking in the Angel Competition Bikinis fashion show on the Arnold Expo stage. So very excited about that. It's 8 weeks away.
Yep. Wow. That's crazy.
Wow.
Her vacation time.
You only need a day or two for that one.
So Mary says 3 months, 3 years, 3 days. When you know, you know.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
When I met my husband, we met in October. We got married in February, and that was 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So it was 3 months when we got married. It was like,
cheers to 20-year anniversary. That's huge.
That was in February. It'll be 21 years in
21
February.
years in a couple months. Wow.
Yeah, it was great. We're both on our 3rd marriage. So, it's like
3rd time's the charm.
It took time to get there. Exactly.
I'm his
time
3rd.
to get there. And everybody's saying hello.
3rd and last.
Yes. 3rd and final.
Just go here real quick. Yes, Coach Nat, love it. Strong, not skinny.
That's right.
Strong is the new beautiful.
Hey, Mary.
Bikini, right. We want to buy those magazines. Please tell us when they come out.
Hey, is that our friend?
Hello,
Oh,
Evelyn.
you know what? I will tell you the
Is
name
that our
of
friend?
it.
Does she make bracelets? Is she
Yes,
the one that makes bracelets?
Yes.
Hi, friend.
She absolutely does. She is the most amazing person.
I have mine.
Oh, I don't know where to tell you to get mine. Oh, look at that.
I got mine.
Evelyn. We'll never forget you.
Yeah.
So the magazine is called Flawless Fitness Model Magazine. So you can look that up online. I believe they'll have a digital version. I don't know if they're doing a print version or if it's just digital, but definitely digital. And it should be out by the end of the month. And I will definitely post about it. Oh my gosh, Sherry, you met Arnold. I'm jealous. You did a movie. What movie did you do?
Yes. 15 years for her and Susan. When you know, you know. 3rd time's the charm. Yes. And my husband, we took 1 to 5 years to a lifetime. Now been together 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been great. Mary T still wearing my Keto Palooza bracelet. Yeah.
Oh, Evelyn, everybody loves you.
Every event, whether it's a local meetup or like Keto Palooza or wherever she goes, she makes everyone a bracelet. And I mean, I met her, I think Keto Palooza of 23, I believe, for the first time. My first one with my sister, my first event was Keto Palooza in 22.
Okay.
It's so sad that they're not going to have one this year.
I know.
But,
did you see that announcement?
No, I didn't.
She made the announcement. There's not going to be one this year. She said,
yeah, it's sad. Because that is the best. I mean, I went to Hack Your Health. I went to KetoCon before it was Hack Your Health. And it's okay. Keto Palooza was so great. Hopefully She'll bring it back next year.
Something will come up to replace it.
Yeah.
We are very excited about the low carb cruise.
Yes, the cruise will be fun.
That's right. We need to bring our event back.
Don't go there.
Since you said it.
I was hinting, but
you were hinting.
Didn't want to make it official.
Well, we didn't say that we're doing it this year.
No.
We have a lot of planning to do. We have a lot of considerations.
Yes.
So when we went to Keto Palooza in 22, Rachel had talked to Nurse Cindy about myself and my sister Debbie, because Nurse Cindy's sister Debbie got her started on keto. My sister Debbie got me started. She says, "Oh, I got to meet them. I got to meet them." So Saturday morning, before she was to go on stage for her presentation, Rachel says, "Come here, you need to meet this woman," to my sister and I. And I mean, Nurse Cindy got up there and started her talk. And she says, telling about her sister Debbie, she said, "But wait a minute." She said, "I got to tell you about two sisters I just met, Cindy and Debbie, whose story is so much like mine." And everybody in this place was bawling. It was like, oh my goodness. She had us stand up, and I'm like, oh, that was the first time, before I started my channel, before anything, first ever event. And it was like, holy cow. But she was fantastic. And it was just.
We love Nurse Cindy.
She's great. Natalie, have you spoken about folks taking responsibility for their own triggers?
Oh boy.
You have videos on that.
How much time do you have? Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough time for that.
No, probably not. But I do have a masterclass called Own Your Ish. It's from probably last year. And I think I made that one public on my channel. So YouTube, Keto Bikini Secrets. You can find all my past masterclasses. Lots and lots about owning it.
Yep. I believe I still have your channel. Yes. There's yours, Nat.
Yep.
I just put back up there. My husband at work, he bring me flowers for endlessly, but it took 3 years to ask me out. 33 years this year.
Aww.
The sisters, Debbie. Yep. Our cruise, I'll be on that. Can't wait to see you guys again.
Yay! Alaska, baby.
It's Andy. Antithetic 2025 is still happening though, right?
No.
Leave it to Juliana to call us out.
We'll see you on Low Carb Cruise. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary on the cruise.
Oh, yay,
awesome.
Evelyn, we'll see you there. That's awesome.
You go. Nancy had to go. Bronson absolutely said it was.
When did I say that?
She's making stuff up to make sure we do it.
I'll tell you what, I'll say this. Okay, I'll say this. If we can get a handful of volunteers to help us plan it, because we do not have the time to do all of the planning, there is more of a potential for an event this year.
But it will more likely be more like a meetup than a conference.
Or something. I'm just going to say that.
I'm not promising a conference.
No.
Nurse Cindy is the bomb. So now everybody's thinking, what would I have to do? Susie, she had to leave.
Yeah.
Sounds like
it's we're going to shortly. I know I don't want to take up a whole lot of your guys' time. We've been here about an hour and 23 minutes. And this has been amazing.
I put out a book. We got to do the conference.
If your book is happening, I'm going to hold him to this.
Because then I can sell books.
Junior, I honestly can't remember it. The show, the movie, I think it was Junior.
Junior.
I honestly can't remember. I owned a craft services truck. We just fed them all. I wish I could join you all for Alaska. I can't swing those great big American dollars. Neither can I. Don't worry, and I live here.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel for my Canadians.
Thanks for having us on, Cindy.
Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And everyone in the chat, thank you so much for coming along and making this great, great. Last one, Juju. On one of your lives, you totally said, go
Juliana,
fill
you're
out
the
this form
only
if
one
you're
to
interested.
respond.
So there we go. Juliana, create a committee for us. Pull some people in.
Bring some people in and we'll talk.
So you're not doing all the work.
Yeah. Thanks,
So
everybody.
anyway, I want to thank my members, thank everyone in the chat, but most of all, thank you guys for coming along for this day, for this afternoon. I appreciate it. And you guys have a great day. Everyone in the chat, have a wonderful day. I will see you all on Wednesday with Brian.
Bye, everyone.